Hi, and welcome to the newest episode of the J-Karp Show. I'm J-Karp here. Sorry for all the hiatus of my show. I haven't been doing it as much lately. Graduation coming up and track in full force. I have my priorities. Right now, I'm going to do something I've never done before. I'm going to do a movie review. It's not just any movie review. It's a sports movie review. One that I just saw over the past weekend that I thought was just amazing. That film I'm talking about is 42, about Jackie Robinson. Now, first I want to say, for me, his story, he wasn't the greatest athlete, that's for sure. He was definitely the most influential. He was the most influential athlete because him and Larry Doby both broke the color barrier in baseball and paved the way for hundreds of new African-American baseball players for generations. And their impact will be remembered forever, honestly. But there's also one thing about this film that really touches you. I mean, it's a very simple film. I'm not going to say a lot of complexness in it. But there was some parts that, I mean, there was a scene, I'm not going to spoil the film. But the N-word is used so many times. I mean, sometimes dozens of times in one scene. But it just shows you that this was what life was like for Jackie Robinson during the 40s and before that even. I mean, many white people on baseball teams petitioned, especially my favorite team, the St. Louis Cardinals. Aside from Stan Musial, everybody else practically in baseball and the Cardinals petitioned not to play if Robinson were allowed to play. And being threatened with suspensions, they eventually stopped. But still, that racism at that time period held on. People in cities like Philadelphia, they didn't want a black player there. They were fully against the idea. But Robinson stuck through. But in the movie, Chadwick Boseman plays Jackie Robinson. And I think, considering when you look at the picture of Jackie Robinson and the picture of the actor that plays him, it was a very well done cast move. Overall, I think the casting was outstanding in the film. But the guy who played Jackie Robinson, he did an outstanding job. He showed his emotions as Jackie Robinson would have in each situation. There is a couple minor historic inaccuracies. One of them was when Red Barber, who is the Dodgers announcer, would not have broadcasted Dodger games away from the home. But he did during the movie. But that's one thing. Another is actually an interesting scene. When Robinson breaks his bat in the dugout, Ralph Branca, who was a teammate of Robinson's, he's 86 years old, he was actually the creative consultant for the movie, says that never happened at all. There's other minor inaccuracies, I'm sorry, but overall it is very well done. Most sport movies do have a lot of historic inaccuracies, but some have a lot. This does not. This has a few, and the few, besides maybe one or two, are just minor. So there's nothing really. But honestly, I'll tell you what stole the movie for me. What I thought made the movie amazing, and if I had a chance to see it again, I would. It was Harrison Ford playing Branch Rickey. Oh my gosh. I'm a huge Star Wars fan of him and Han Solo, but I think he deserves an Oscar for his role as Branch Rickey. There were times when I didn't even think that was Harrison Ford. I thought that was really Branch Rickey. He did such an amazing job with the emotional impact, with the accent that Branch would have, the religious conflicts. It was amazing. And like I said, I'm not going to spoil the movie. I mean, I'm sure people have already looked up what it's about. But there is one scene where Harrison Ford completely owns the Philadelphia Phillies general manager. After the Phillies general manager said they wouldn't take the field if Robinson were to come with the Dodgers to Philadelphia and play, because at that time Philadelphia was one of the most racist cities in America. And Branch Rickey, or Harrison Ford, I should say, would have absolutely none of that. And that scene is on YouTube and other sites if you want to check it out. The name of the scene is Do You Think God Likes Baseball? It is truly a wonderful, marvelous scene and it was probably my favorite in the whole film. But Harrison Ford plays the character so well, and just the impact he had in the film is outstanding. He really made the film for me. Jackie Robinson's character, the guy who played Jackie Robinson, did an outstanding job too. But for me, Harrison Ford, that was a career-defining role for me. Of all the films Harrison Ford did, that was definitely one of his best, and I really hope he wins an Oscar. But now for my opinions as the film as a whole. Aside from the great acting and casting, overall, it's a great film, especially, and even if you're not a sports fan, even if you're not a huge sports fan, there's just so much about it that makes it amazing. I mean, it really plays out. It makes you feel like you were back during the 40s and seeing African Americans walk around being heckled everywhere they go, being refused to go to certain bathrooms or such just because of the different colors. And it just really shows you how Jackie Robinson had so much stress built inside of him, but he pushed through with the help of Branch Rickey and Wendell Smith, who was practically his assistant, but who was actually a journalist. I mean, so much was in it. And then there's Pee Wee Reese, played by Louis Black. Pee Wee Reese, people may think that's an insulting nickname. He loved it. He was considered one of the nicest baseball players in history. And his impact on the movie was when the Dodgers were starting to sign petitions about kicking Robinson off the team, Pee Wee Reese would have none of it. He told Jackie Robinson one day, maybe we all should wear 42, that way they can't tell us apart. And that's what they do to this day. The end of the film has, a montage of Robinson's afterlife and what he's, I'm not going to say afterlife, because he's not reincarnated and stuff, but after his baseball career, what he did. And also, it's nice to know that Jackie Robinson's wife, who's played in the movie by Miss Nicole Bearhair, is still alive, actually. She's 90 years old. And it's just nice to know that she had a big part in putting a lot of the film together. Overall, like I said, it's not an action-packed, violence-ridden sports film, but it really makes you feel for African American players from that time who just wanted a fair chance. Like Josh Gibson, who was probably the greatest player to never play in the majors. One of the best players to never play in the major leagues. Before the color barrier was broken, he had died at the age of 36. Even younger than that. Overall, though, this was a nice film. It's already grossed $71 million in the box office. I have to give it a 9 out of 10. If I had to give it a grade like that, I'd have to give it a 9 out of 10. Simply for the fact that the casting is done so well, the way the dialogue is done so well, there's not many bad things about the film, and the inaccuracies that are apparent in the film don't really hinder the quality of it. It's still a very well done film. Now, yes, you would wish more accuracies were done, but it can't be a perfect film. The point of the movie was to show you what Jackie Robinson had to go through, who was at his side, and just how he strived to make a difference in the world, no matter what anybody told him. And that's just what makes 42 a great film. It makes you feel for Jackie Robinson. And not just him, every African American player. There are segregated stadiums, bathrooms, everything. I mean, little white kids at that time, hearing their fathers and parents yell the N-word at black players, yelled them too, just because they thought that was the right thing to do. They didn't know any better. But that was the time period then. And now we've evolved. Every year now we wear baseball players all across the league wear number 42 to honor Jackie Robinson and all the achievements he did. And like I said, he doesn't have all the flashy stats, but when it comes down to it, he has the greatest stat of all, allowing African Americans to play in Major League Baseball. And for Branch Rickey, not only was he the first person to sign an African American player, he also signed the first Hispanic player in Roberto Clemente. So Branch Rickey had a major part in breaking both barriers of segregation in baseball. And just like Robinson, he will be forever remembered as an icon in Major League Baseball. So overall, 42, great film. I highly recommend you check it out, because I'm pretty sure you will not be disappointed. Thank you for listening to this episode of the J-Karp Show. I'll catch you later.